The info product and online education space is changing forever. The boom is well beyond us, let's be honest, and buyers are more sophisticated than they have ever been. Leads are hopping on more sales calls than ever before, and the funnels and marketing tactics that used to print six figures for a creator who barely even had an offer in place, those offers are getting left in the dust. And just frankly, we're seeing more offers, more creators drop off the face of the earth day by day. So everything that used to work in 2023 with the flashy lifestyles and the over-promising, under-delivering, that's gone. But I genuinely do not want you to get left behind, because after growing several offers to six and multiple six figures a month this year alone, as much as the space is changing, as many offers that there are getting left in the dust day by day, the online education space is growing faster than ever and will continue to grow over the next decade. But what used to work does not anymore, and we're moving into a more sophisticated market that actually requires a skilled marketing and sales process. And so today I'm going to walk you through 5 shifts that myself and dozens of other 6-figure, 7-figure offers are implementing right now so they can stay ahead of the changes taking place in the space. And I'm going to show you how you can implement them yourself, whether you are at 200K a month and can't find that same success anymore, or you're just starting out in the 20 to 50K a month range. This is going to be for you. So sit back. This is going to be a longer one. Like I said, I've personally grown multiple offers to 6 and multiple 6 figures alone this year, and I've sat in on and reviewed hundreds of setting calls, so many closing calls, and I'm here today just to show you what has worked for me and the offers that I run and the teams that I manage. So after this, you'll have some clarity on how to get from where you're at now to consistent multiple 6 figures a month in the climate of today's info market. Let's get into it. 0 to 272K in 70 days. I've been waiting a few weeks to put this one out. This is going to be the most valuable video I've ever put on the internet. So if you can't take a few minutes to watch and actually learn some good game of what's working right now in this offer that we just ran up, I don't know what to tell you. I have this timestamps put below. So if you want to watch a certain area, go ahead. But we're going to get into the marketing, funnels, and the sales, and all the intricate little tweaks that we had to make this growth as fast as possible based on what is working right now. Let's get into it. Actually, before we get into it, let's just go over some proof first. Here's my FPM dashboard. This is my agency. As you can see, let's just do here in the first 30 days, started on May 6th. As you can see, 137 cash on the WAP. Let's move this over here. Let's go May 6th to July, 15th, set 267. Then we have a few random payment processors, so you can see, but I want to show you proof so you actually have some weight behind what I'm about to share with you. And so why this worked right now in the current state of the market versus what used to work that doesn't work anymore. So 2021, 2023, the golden days, what someone could do was flash lifestyle. They could show their proof of concept, show that they have money, and do some weak CTAs with a weak offer with a somewhat decent sized following, and they could print 6 figures a month, which is great. But you can't do that anymore because everyone is aware of the info space. Everyone knows that people are selling different things. And so you actually have to be a skilled marketer, a skilled copywriter, have a skilled sales team in order to differentiate yourself and have an offer with longevity in this space, because you actually just crossed 100K with another offer, but I take the sales calls for that offer. It's the only offer that I run that I'm still involved in the day-to-day of the sales process. And 6 leads in a row last week showed up and said that they all had calls booked with other offers. Everyone's doing research. Everyone's talking to multiple people. Everyone wants to know price, deliverables, get on to the next, because people are aware they've been sold the dream many times. On this offer, we scaled 0 to 270. On the other offer I just mentioned, almost every lead has bought an info before. And it's getting to the point where the people that want to get into the online business space, that want to get financial location time freedom, they've already tried it because they know it's possible. And it's very rare in the case where this is going to be someone's complete first time buying info now in 2026. And so everyone's been pitched before. Everyone's been overpromised and underdelivered before. And with AI, everyone's getting tired of like the AI slop marketing. And like I said, you need to have a skilled marketing team, you need to have a skilled sales team, and you need to have a cold traffic optimized offer. So I'm going to get pissed off and ramble. But on top of that, more people are objecting to the quote unquote course, because the old fulfillment model was coaching, community, and a course, so that you could ask questions a few times a week. You would have the community to interact with everyone else, and you would have the actual information to go and implement. But now with AI, everyone can just look something up. And yes, we know that we're deep in the space. So we know that we're paying for speed of implementation, and we're paying for just like peace of mind that we are implementing the right information. You could go ask chat and you could tell you some random shit, right? But people are objecting. Why would I do that when I could just ask AI, which is somewhat true, because But like I said, it takes time, energy, confidence to actually find and implement on the right information. So what is actually required right now at this point in time in the info space is either one, high ticket consulting, where you can still operate off of the, live feedback, information, community model, but just needs to be at a much higher ticket with a much higher level offer owner, or a much higher level of fulfillment, which is what the team that we helped go from 0 to 270K in 70 days with, they are cracked at fulfillment. And so it's going to be either one of those two things: very high level consulting, one-to-one basis, or it's going to be insane service delivery. And so that leaves such a gap in the market where most people are still operating off of that old model, and the demand for the new model of insane fulfillment. If you can have an offer with very, very good fulfillment, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb and have such an easier time closing people because your offer, your product that you're selling is just genuinely better. So what do you need to scale right now? Like I just said, one, cold traffic offer. If someone has no clue who you are, they should be able to look at your offer and just genuinely be interested. They should want to go further in the sales process. It's not something where they have to watch a million hours of content consume just to opt in to your application or your call funnel. The next thing is, we know and love the concept of a unique mechanism, but we need to have an actual unique mechanism that separates us from every other competitor in the market, because in a lot of these online business opportunity niches, everyone is selling the same thing. And so you need a way to differentiate yourself. It's no longer the days of just putting a shiny name on the same actual business model or the same mechanism. You need to actually have something that differentiates you and makes people curious enough to, after all of their competitors, book a call with you and actually genuinely believe that you are different due to your unique mechanism. Third is, you can no longer get away with consistent multiple six-figure months from just organic. It's going to be a balance now. You need both paid and organic traffic, because like I said, in the old days, you could get away with a flashy lifestyle, consistent content, highly produced content, and people that liked you, so you scaled. Now you need cold and organic. You need to use AI intelligently. You can't get away with AI slap anymore. People are recognizing emails. People are recognizing scripts on your reels, on your short form, on your long form, when you're blatantly reading off of scripted copy from AI. Like, people want you. You need to be a human. They want to watch you as a human. They sniff out AI. It's as simple as that. On top of all that, you need a tailored sales process. You can't put everyone through a one-size-fits-all, cookie cutter sales process nowadays. You need to differentiate all of the different avatars within your target market and have specific resources, lead magnets, SOPs that your sales team can use for different types of prospects, right? Not everyone is the same. People need to feel like the sales process is for them, like the offer, like the team is built specifically for them, especially when they're getting on so many different calls. You're getting on 2, 3, 4, 5 different calls with all different competitors in the same niche with a very similar offer. You need to go the extra step and make sure that your sales process makes people feel like you are the one for them. Finally, you need to have an offer stack. You need to have, obviously, your standard flagship, some sort of downsell for the people who are unqualified, and then you need to have an upsell or ascension process to increase the LTV of every single person that comes into your funnel, especially once you're running cold, because no longer are the days of you can just have like a $2,000-$3,000 offer and be able to scale super high up on cold. That's not how it works anymore. Especially if you're running cold, and let's say you can get to 2.5, 3x off of your standard like 4 or 5K offer, but you have a 12K, 15K, 20K offer on the back end of that. That's going to make your cold so much more profitable, and you need to have a system in place to upsell people, whether that's they get to a certain stage in the process and they want to be upsold before their original program is done, or once they're finished the flagship offer, you have a process in place to upsell them to a 12, 15, 20K offer. And everyone wants to say, because of all these things, because everyone has been sold to, everyone has been lied to, everyone has been overpromised and underdelivered, the online education, the info space is dying, all the offers are dying off, but that is BS. Do not listen to that. You can look this stat up. I pulled this straight from the internet. I'm not even going to lie, but the current market size last year of this online education space, 353 billion, which is projected to grow to 1.4 trillion by 2033, 20% year over year. This space isn't going nowhere. I bought my first course for $3,800 as a senior in high school in 2021. Since then, I've purchased multiple 5 figures in different info, coaching, mentorship programs just in my own learning. And I've scaled several offers to 6 and multiple 6 figures in a very, very short period of time. I've reviewed hundreds of setting calls, closing calls. I've closed on some of the biggest offers in the space, and I've seen how this space has changed over the past few years. But what I can say is that I got closed in 2021 off of a straight cold traffic Google ad from a YouTube video. Took me to a VSL landing page where I booked a call, put down a deposit, took the money from my investment account, and paid. I had no clue. I had no clue what a course was. I had no clue anything about the space, and that's what leads used to be like. But now, I mean, my own buyer's journey in the info space reflects what's happening in the market, because now I book calls with multiple people. If I want help with one thing, I'll go check out a couple people. If I want help with another thing that I know I'm going to spend a few grand on consulting, I'll go look at multiple people. It's not, oh, wow, new opportunity, I'm just going to jump on it. I know there's competition. I know there's people in the space that can help me because I'm aware. And that is pretty much where most people in this online business space are at. As I showed you on the offer that I take sales calls for, as I showed you on our offer that I just operated up to 270K. Everyone is taking sales calls. I'm getting out of breath talking about it, but it's just a lot more aware. And so you need changes in your marketing. You need changes in the funnels that you're using. You need changes in your sales process. And so you need a balance of organic and paid. I'm not going to, go too much more deep into this, but organic and paid, it's not one or the other. It's not, oh, marketing, or it's not, oh, paid is way better than organic. It's not, oh, organic's way better than paid. You need a balance of both, because paid generates new people to come into your funnel to, if they don't, whatever you're doing, running a call funnel, paid webinar funnel, people come in, and yes, some might book a call right away. Some might attend the first webinar and book a call and piff. But a lot of people will take a few months once you start running paid. They'll come in from the paid ad. They'll take a look at your content. They'll start watching your reels. They'll start watching your YouTube, and they'll slowly get nurtured. And that mimics the organic sales process if you had no paid at all. But paid is bringing you consistent new people to go through that organic sales process if they're not converting right away. If you're an offer owner, if you're someone working with an offer owner, obviously short form every single day is non-negotiable. If you're an offer owner that is very involved with their business and doesn't have time for content, at minimum, just do one long form YouTube per week. You can clip that up and post 7 clips from one long form YouTube video. And again, if you know how to run paid traffic, you can scale predictably on top of all of the luxuries organic provides, right? Organic gives us a way to just have unlimited shots at goal, unlimited lottery spins for one piece of content to take off. But paid traffic allows you to predictably scale month after month, because you can say, okay, data showed me I can put $1 in and get $4 out. That is great. And so with this in mind, that you need an offer that works on cold and organic. You could just use the same offer on your organic as your cold, but since you need cold, you need an offer that's optimized for cold. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but you need something that calls out your very specific ICP. You need someone that tells that very specific you need something that tells that very specific group of people what you are helping them with. You're telling them what specific problem you specialize in helping them solve, what time frame they can expect to get that problem solved, and any sort of risk reversal. With Hormozzi's, you can use his value equation, perceived time plus likelihood of success. You can literally just think of your offer within Hormozzi's value equation. Dream outcome times perceived likelihood of achievement over time delay times effort and sacrifice. If you can pick something that amplifies that numerator and decreases that denominator, you're going to be very well off, as long as you can follow these and call out to one specific group of people. And one of the biggest mistakes I see people make, if I've even made in the past, is that your offer does not have to be one concrete thing. It can be fluid. You can test it across multiple funnels, across webinar to webinar. Test different offer. It doesn't have to be same. It's not concrete. Use your sales data, use your sales team feedback to iterate the offer. Because if the more you can learn about your ICP and your dream customer, the better you can call out to them with your offer, with your deliverables, with how you're positioning everything throughout the funnel. Which takes me to my next point. I talked earlier, yes, you have to have a unique mechanism, something that in your process is quote unquote different, but that's slightly different than being able to actually build a moat around your offer and truly become one of one compared to all of your competitors. Because if you can choose one thing that no one else in your market can beat you on, whether they're simply just way worse than you, no one is even near as good as you at this one thing, or no one else can even offer it, then you are putting yourself apart. You are setting yourself apart from the competition. For all of those people that are going through 3, 4, 5 calls, you're the only one that can offer this. You're putting yourself ahead in their mind. So what is a moat? It's, like I said, one thing you can do better than anyone else. You can offer that no one else can. And someone who doesn't know you, someone who comes from cold, needs to understand the value of this one thing and instantly recognize, okay, that's valuable. That would make my perceived likelihood of achievement, that would make my time, effort, and sacrifice go down, my perceived likelihood of achievement go up. Something that just resonates with people in your market with, the pain, the issue that you're helping them solve, the outcome you're trying to help them get, right? For example, the offer that we took from 0 to 270K was a UGC offer, right? Slightly different, but let's just frame it as a UGC offer for the sake of example. Everyone else in their space was teaching people how to make content, how to find brands to partner with for that content. Our client was a UGC agency. And so they already had brands coming to them, right? That were already looking for creators. The brands knew our clients, top brands, top skincare brands, top food brands, coming to our client because they know that they have a solid place to train up their creators. They have a solid system in place to train the creators. And so they already trust our clients to pair them with the creators. And so our clients who are coming on the info side, teaching people how to get started with UGC, in their offer, they could legitimately offer them guaranteed brand partnerships. One of the hardest steps of the process as a UGC creator is to find brands when you're a complete beginner. And so we take them from down here. They got to usually get here on their own. Our offer already gets them there because it's guaranteed. We have the moat. This was our moat. Took a huge part of our target audience's process out of the equation and made them that much more comfortable to get started with us compared to everyone else that they talk to. That is an example of something when I say a moat, none of our competitors can offer this because they are not a registered UGC agency like our clients are. And you can bet in our funnels, in our call funnel, in our webinar funnel, we really harped on that because that is one of the main things that made us that much different, right? And so in order to hit 0 to 270K, our main funnel was a paid webinar funnel. The secondary funnel was our call funnel because we did not run a paid webinar every single week. We ran, I would say, 5 over this 2-month time period. I'll actually show you our ads manager. As you can see, May 19th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have one when I'm filming this. It's the 21st. We have one tomorrow. And so across that time period, we spent, I will go to May 6th to July 15th. We spent around 20, what is that number? Where is it? And so across those webinars, that totals up to $22,900 to get back 270,000. Pretty good in my opinion. Obviously, that wasn't all cold. We ran the call funnel. We had a bit of an organic padding in the beginning, which takes me to my next point of for each of these funnels, our paid webinar funnel and our call funnel, we had to figure out which level of awareness we were going to go after. Yes, you have the 5 stages of awareness. Everything you learn when you start marketing, the 5 levels of awareness: unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware, I think is the last one. We had to figure out which part of this market that we wanted to tackle, the people already doing UGC that were struggling, or did we want to go more biz ops, straight beginner, and try and convert people that were maybe between business models. And so at the beginning, I'm always a proponent of go in market, then go outwards as needed. If you need to go biz up, beginner, you've exhausted the in-market audience, that's fine. You can always go out of market, but start in market. And because these creators had somewhat of an organic padding, they were selling low ticket before, they never sold high ticket. So they had a base of low ticket customers that they've all sold for less than $1,000 each, packages that were less than $1,000. Then they had a free community that had probably like 1,000, maybe 2,000 people in it. We had a way to test our in-market messaging for our very first webinar with people that were already in their existing low ticket and people that were in their free community. And so we decided we have a bunch of people already at least attempting this business model in the low ticket and the free community. We're going to test the in-market messaging with our first webinar on those platforms, in those vehicles, and test our first paid campaign as well with this client. And so with a paid webinar, our expectation with the client was we want to hit a 4x in the first 60 days. And obviously that is something we want to do in the second, third, fourth webinar as soon as possible. But if we don't have a ad budget that's required, if we're working with a small ad budget and we can only run webinars every couple of weeks, then we're going to need a realistic time frame. We want around 4 webinars to be able to get to a 4x confidently. Some people will say way more. Some people say 3 months. Some people will say 180 days, but we gave the expectation of 4x at 60 days. That is exactly what we did. And so, like I said, we decided to go in market. We decided to go in market and target people already doing UGC because with our educated guess, we thought that would be best given the organic padding that we had, given all the other competitors that we saw that were going straight biz up. We thought we had an edge here. And so, with that choice, we had to make sure our messaging was congruent from the very first touch point of the funnel, of the paid webinar funnel, that is the paid ad that people see with a CTA to opt in to the webinar. That messaging needs to be congruent all the way through every step of the process, all the way till the close, till the purchase, right? And so by congruent, I mean that our messaging and the way we're speaking needs to call out to someone who is already doing the business model. If I have a paid ad that is calling out to, let's see what example that, yeah, exactly. If I have a paid ad, let's say we have a trading niche and my paid ad targets someone who's been in trading for years. It calls out to their specific pain points. And then the actual event, the webinar itself, is someone who's is designed for someone who's just starting trading. That alignment, it's just people are gonna be like, what the hell? This is not for me. I don't feel like this is for me. The ad said one thing, this said made me think I was gonna get this out of the webinar, and it wasn't. It just leaves people confused. And so I'll even see people who run ads and it's such an in-market ad, and then the copy on the ad, like the caption you see before you scroll fully away, is just designed for someone who's never even heard of this thing. And so that right there's incongruencies on the ad alone, let alone the rest of the whole process to get them all the way to the close, feeling like this is really truly designed for them. Forgive me, my voice is going, but congruency from the very first touch point in the funnel, from the very first ad that they see, where they then opt in and get hit with the 5 touch points of the paid webinar: SMS, email, pre-event group, the setter, and the calendar. So you can pause this. I'll leave my face right there. You can pause this for all the details, but I don't want to make this video too long. But just to cover these 5 touch points, SMS, they're getting hit at least daily from the second they opt in with the opt-in text, with the CTA to the group. They're getting hit with a morning of text, 24 hours out text. Morning of text is going to be question-based to get them thinking about the outcome that they want. So, hey, XYZ, super excited to teach you how to hit 5 to 15K a month with XYZ business model. Just so I know and can prepare for tonight, what were you hoping to learn by the end of tonight's session? Gets them thinking about what they're actually wanting to learn and achieve from attending this event, makes them more likely to show up because they're getting in their head. They're thinking about what outcome that they want. And then it just raises intent throughout the day. Maybe it makes them think about it more. Then obviously you have 1 hour out, 30-minute out, 5-minute out, live text, etc., 15 minutes in. Very, very value dense email sequence from the minute they opt in to the time of the event, and your post-event email sequence, your attended sequence, your replay sequence. And so for SMS and email, we had a few deliverability issues throughout the first 60 days. And so one thing that we tested that you can go and test, I'm sure a lot of you use Go High Level. We had some deliverability issues with Go High Level, and we saw that there was a huge discrepancy between the first email in the opt-in sequence and the third. The third was getting viewed a lot more than the first, when in theory it should be the other way around. And so what we did was we switched that first opt-in email to actually be sent out by our webinar host platform, Webinar Jam. And we saw deliverability increase significantly. So small things like that you can do to tweak just stats that you know you can improve. It'll get your show rate up to the actual webinar. In the long run, it'll get your cash up per event. Next is the pre-event group that you're going to host on Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram. Depends on the niche, depends on the business model, depends on the ICP, whatever platform makes sense. For us, this offer that we took from 0 to 270K was more targeted towards older women. For them in the US, Facebook makes sense. In that group, you're going to give them a lead magnet that they can actually apply before the event, raises intent, raises their buy-in to you and the business model, especially if they're from cold traffic, if they go through that lead magnet, and it'll just improve show rate. So we have a full sequence we put out in that pre-event group, lead magnet, etc. Then we have the setter reach out the day of the event, which I'll get into later. And obviously we have people add the event to their calendar from a software like AdEvent, where they get native reminders. And so once you actually do have those 5 touch points and get people from a cold ad to being nurtured before the event to the actual event, you're going to have a very, very calculated presentation. And so this goes back to the in-market, out-of-market, too little back and forth that I referred to earlier. If you have a set of ad copy, set of ad creatives that call out to a very in-market individual, whatever it is you're teaching, they're very aware about it and they've already been doing it for a while, versus someone who needs to be educated and is debating getting started with what you're teaching. The presentation for an in-market and an out-of-market individual are completely different. The value section of that presentation is going to be completely different depending on the awareness level of that lead. If someone has been doing, again, back to the trading example, because everyone follows a trader, everyone's looked at a trading VSL, maybe I'm just coping because I did it when I was in high school. But if you have someone who has been trading unprofitably for 3 years, their thoughts, their emotions, their latent conditions are extremely different than someone who wants to make money online and is looking at drop shipping and e-com and SMMA and looking at a million different things, but they think trading is for them, so they're going to attend the event. Someone who's been trading for 3 years unprofitably and someone who might get into trading if this live event goes well, they're going to be blown away by two completely different events. And the 3 pillars, the value section of a webinar that this in-market 3-year unprofitable guy would find valuable versus the 3-pillar value section that a straight biz op, brain dead lead would find valuable is going to be completely different. It's going to be completely different. The way we pitch the offer for those two different types of people is going to be completely different. And the bonuses that, again, boost the Hormozy equation for the pitch and the bonus stack: dream outcome, perceived likelihood of achievement, decreased time delay, decreased effort and sacrifice. The way we pitch the actual deliverables and the bonuses are going to be completely different the way that 3 years unprofitable perceives it versus straight biz op brain dead perceives it, right? This person is going to have a whole lot more pain, uncertainty, skepticism. And so we need to frame these deliverables around changing those bad habits versus, maybe this person literally has no clue what they're getting into. And they're like, oh, I don't have money to trade with. Then funded, like we can pitch a funded account. Again, I'm getting too in depth coping with my time spent on trading VSLs when I was younger. But I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down here. Just an in-market UGC creator for our offer. In-market, someone who's reached out to 100 brands, has tried to make videos and has just had shit out of luck, versus someone who's like, ooh, what's UGC? Is that something I want to get into? The presentations that are going to benefit those two different types of people are going to be completely different. And so to start off, we went for this in-market individual. Later down the line, switched to this out-of-market individual, more of a biz op structure. And so we have the event. We frame the event for a very specific type of lead that is reflected from our ad copy language. Then we pitch, then we book our calls. We had a tremendous shout out copywriter Renee that wrote an amazing webinar that booked, I think one of our recent webinars booked 40% of the people live at pitch, not applied. Applied was over 50, booked 40% onto the calendar, confirmed. Regardless, once they're booked in, we frame the need to answer our sales team, to answer our coaches through framing a lead magnet, framing our pre-call asset as one of the most valuable documents in this market. They can only get it if they connect with our team member that's going to confirm their time that they booked into. This document alone took me multiple days to build out. It is every single thing that the lead needs to know. Again, I had to change this whole document once we switch from in-market to more biz-op model because the language is going to be different, right? Again, but I spent days on this document to frame the opportunity. What is going on in the world? What is going on in the market? What is going on online that makes now the best time to get involved with this opportunity? Why is our offer, why is our company the best company to go to for all of these? Every single FAQ, every single limiting belief, every single reason that they might not show up to the call is handled on this document. Case studies, testimonials, every result that you could need. It took me a long time to build out, but once we started using it, we did see an increase in show rate, especially from these cold traffic leads. And again, just to go back, we also had our pre-call email sequence, our pre-call flows, that was pushing to the document as well. So this document was kind of a centerpiece of our pre-call process, on top of the fact that we had some setting changes that we needed to make. Another thing that worked very well for us was not letting our closers just free ball the pitch. Oh, 3 pillars, here's what you're going to get. No. Our pitch needs to be very, very tailored to the specific type of lead that we are speaking to. If it's someone that's been doing the model for a while versus someone who's a complete beginner, they're going to have 2 different sets of worries. They're going to have 2 different sets of objections, apart from price and uncertainty and fear. logistically, they're just going to have two different mindsets when it comes to it. Someone who's already doing it versus someone who's just getting started. And so the pitch needs to reflect where the lead is. We need to have a calculated pitch written out for our sales team, so there's no variability in the pitch. We can see if the pitch is actually working, as opposed to if the closers are just being inconsistent across all the calls that they're taking. Just a small thing to note there. If you're not scripting out your pitch, at least, again, you don't need to make your closers go word for word on any script by any means, but if you script out the pitch and let them go for a structure based on a certain lead type, you're going to be much better off. But finally, to get to our setters, this was pretty much one of the biggest bottlenecks on this offer that we had in the first 70 days, and why we were able to collect $270,000 in a 70-day time period. Like I said, we started in market. We went out of market. Across both buyer types, out of both awareness levels, we had a show rate issue from our cold traffic leads. We could not figure out why. We had this mental block of, instead of just going and checking the calls, instead of checking the setting calls of people who canceled, who no-showed, we were looking at all of our stats. We were tweaking all of our copy. We were looking at the open rates, the deliverability, every single thing besides actually just going back and looking at the damn calls. I'm to blame. Others are cope. I'm to blame. But the calls that we went back and looked at for our setters, for these cold traffic leads that were canceling last minute, giving just like, oh, doctor's appointment, oh, family emergency, the leads that were giving some BS excuses, canceling last minute without a valid reason, we needed to find out why that was. And so I went back and listened to tons of setting calls for people who cancel, because when you have 1,000 people sign up for a webinar, you have a 30% or so show rate. That's a good amount of people who book in. If you have a 40% book rate from those live at pitch, if you have 80% retention rate from peak viewership, it's a good amount of calls. And so it was a fair amount of work to go back and look, why are these people not showing up? The setters think that they're having great setting conversations, but little do we know, we go back and find out, no, they are not. Warm traffic setting versus cold traffic setting is completely different. It takes a completely different skill set. You could be brain dead and a rock, and you could have a conversation with someone who's watched 2 weeks, 60 hours worth of YouTube videos from an offer owner, and you could say damn near anything. You could insult them and they would still show up to the call. But a cold traffic lead who does not know the offer, who does not know the company, and has no inherent reason really to get on the phone with you besides the fact that it sounds interesting and might be a good solution to their problem, they're two completely different skill sets. Warm, you could have any type of conversation. You could pick up on no social or emotional cues and still get the lead to show up to the call. Versus cold, what we found out when we went back and looked at these leads who have all canceled on us, we found out that our setters are missing up on, they're not picking up on some of the most valuable parts of the setting conversation. They're not picking up on times that leads are just giving us emotional cues, social cues, where, if I'm on the phone, I'm thinking, okay, this just came up. This is going to be a huge red flag later down the line. This is going to be a huge reason why they wouldn't necessarily prioritize showing up. So I need to handle this later in the call, whether that's bad experience in the past, whether that's just some sort of uncertainty or just red flag that they toss out to us. They're a little vulnerable. And there were several instances I found where the setters were just not picking up on it. The lead basically poured their heart out and told them about their situation, and they just proceeded with the script just as they were with the warm leads. But that doesn't fly on cold. So your setting team needs to be much more dialed, because we're spending money on these leads. If they were very, 10 out of 10 setters, a lot of these leads would have showed up. And so something you need to consider. But the thing is, we're growing an offer from 0 to 270K. At this point, we can go and find more high quality talent. But in the beginning, when we're hiring at $0, recruiting a team together, it's very hard to get top tier talent. Our closers were very lucky that we got them just due to people I had in my network. But it's very hard to find top tier setting talent at that stage. Now we're lucky we can go out and recruit and increase the team talent on the team. But it was just crazy how I went back and it was so clear why these leads weren't showing up. It's, partly on me, partly on the setters, for not picking up on very, very blatant things, looking back at it, of things the leads were telling us, showing us with their words, with their emotions, with their tone, that frankly we could have picked up on and prevented no-shows. That's a little rant, because I spent so much time and energy fixing this problem that allowed us to get a much higher show rate on the calls. But this is a result of me rambling on a YouTube video as a result of that. But on top of that, the days that we had events, it is important that the setters know what they're doing every part of the event day, every part of after the event day, because that is when intent is going to be the most highest, aside for when people opt in to the event. And so the day of the event leading up until 7 p.m. EST, when we held the event, we would have the setters dialing people pre-call. Hey, I saw you opted in for XYZ event. Just here to get you everything you need, blah, 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 blah. What were you hoping to get out of tonight? So we could also do some market research, get a bunch of people more touch points so they're more likely to show up to the call. After the event, people book in, the setters text everyone, call them if they're within the time zone so we can be compliant. Then the morning of, it is go time. Setters are dialing everyone that they have not gotten contact with. They're making all of their pre-call group chats. They are hitting every single person that's booked in, making sure they are in contact with as many of them as physically possible. After that, they dial everyone who showed up to the event and did not apply or book in. After they get through those people, they go to the registered. And so it's our goal that we hit every single person who registered by the end of day 2 after the event, or else the intent is just, that much lower. For people who registered and didn't show up off a cold traffic lead, again, these aren't people with insane intent, but it's important we hit them ASAP, especially if we're paying for leads. We want to make sure we hit every single person, the offer owner's money, the company's money. Every single dollar counts, especially when we're selling something high ticket. One high ticket purchase can be the difference between a 3x and a 4x, a 4x and a 5x at a certain level of spend, right? Any client I work with, I want to get to a point where we're spending a shit ton of money on ads, but we got to start somewhere. And so in this stage, one sale can be the difference between a 3x and a 4x, a 4x and a 5x, like I said. Any offer that I work with, whether it's on a consulting basis, done for you basis, I want to say a very high ceiling for the offer. And so it is extremely important that I reverse engineer our current stats, the current state of the offer, in order to determine how we get it from, 150 a month to 250 a month, from 250 to 500K a month. And the only way we can actually determine this and see what steps we actually need to take to get there is by reverse engineering the numbers. Okay, so we spent this much on ads, we got this much in return, we have this many calls booked, which our sure rate for these calls was XYZ, our cancel rate was XYZ, all of the stats, every single number, we need to figure out what those numbers need to be at a 250 run rate, at a 500 run rate. And we need to understand, okay, can these metrics hold at increased levels of spend, at increased levels of volume? Will these setters be able to handle more leads? Will these closers be able to handle more leads? If a closer has XYZ amount of calls on their calendar, can we even double that? Or do we need to bring on another closer? Do we need to bring on another setter to handle all of this additional lead volume? How many leads do we need in order to double our current revenue level? So many different things to think about when it comes to saying, okay, what's actually needed to take this offer to the next level? Because in theory, I find myself, mentally masturbating a lot to the fact that, can't wait to hit 200K with this offer. Can't wait to hit 500K with this offer. But what is actually needed to hit that revenue range? Hopefully I'm going to cut this down so it's not like an hour long. But if this was helpful, drop a like, drop a sub on the channel. So it tells me, hey, I like these type of videos, do more. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram. If you benefited from this information and you are an offer owner, if you are an operator that wants to work with me on a done for you or a consulting basis to implement everything that I talked about here today and more into your offer, into your business, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram and just DM me FPM or any questions that you have. And we'll see if it is a good fit. I only work with a small amount of offers on a full done for you basis. So obviously it has to make sense, but happy to help in any way I can. Any questions, leave them below. Any questions, DM me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.